Is it a crime to be the citizen of a weak, unstable, and corruption afflicted Nepal in India? An unforgivable offense to be a young and bright individual with a dream to make it big in science, technology, engineering, and management, that is, STEM. Is it an unpardonable sin to be in a relationship, particularly with the son of a gun from the world's most populous nation, the fifth largest economy in the world with a nominal GDP of $4.27 trillion and the fourth largest global military power? Does such a relationship give the dominant male the license to abuse the girl, verbally or otherwise, over the phone or beyond? The questions, in fact, the questions do not end here. In the world's largest democracy with robust institutions that is projecting the image of a self-styled Vishwaguru, that is the teacher of the world, is it a crime beyond redemption to seek justice for a fellow student found dead in very, very suspicious circumstances in her very institution that was supposed to ensure the well being of its students, alien or otherwise, while they prepare for while they prepare their best for a world brimming with a population of 8.2 billion, marked by cutthroat competition in every walk of life. By the way, if you have not subscribed to this channel, I request you to subscribe to this channel, comment on our presentation, and also press that like button. Your support means a universe to us. Now to continue with the Prakriti Lamsal story. What gave the authorities at the said institution the license to force hundreds of Nepali students protesting peacefully for justice for the victim to go home? All they were asking for is asking for justice for the victim, partial justice, because no amount of justice can bring a life back. All these students were seeking what they were seeking justice peacefully, despite that tragic loss of life. Even if the institution wanted the students to leave the facility for security reasons, was there no better option than throwing them on the road, literally? This question is significant because several students told the media at the time of their eviction. By the way, is it a crime, as I wanted to know earlier, is it a crime to protest peacefully for justice? At the time of their eviction, the students had told the media that they had no money to return home to a distant Nepal. The death of Prakriti Lamsal, a 20-year-old B.Tech third-year computer science student at the Kalinga Institute of Industrial Technology in very, very suspicious circumstances at the institute itself has stirred Nepal, whose powers that we have been enjoying ages old, unjust, and unequal relations with India for ages, with aspirations to further strengthen the ties while creating ripples in the state parliament in Odisha, thanks mainly to the opposition parties, particularly the Indian National Congress. The KIIT, that is the Kalinga Institute of Industrial Technology, seems to have taken action against some of its officials and security guards involved in the atrocities against the students. A meek apology has also come from one of the verbal abusers and the vice chancellor himself, and the institute has called the Nepali students evicted in mass to come back and prepare for the soon to be held exams in the wake of what relentless relentless pressure from protests through social media and other fora. In fact, this picture on the background also shows the students of that institution seeking justice for the victim and her family, at least in part, because as I said earlier, no amount of justice can bring back a life. Initial reports from Nepal, what did they point? They pointed that the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Devraj Ghimire, had turned down repeated requests from a Rashtriya Swatantra Party lawmaker, that is Sumana Shrestha, for discussions on the suspicious death a day after the incident. But what did the Speaker do? He just rejected that request for discussions on this sensitive matter. He showed an unprecedented level of insensitivity toward such a sensitive topic. Who was the speaker pandering to through this move, by the way? One wonders. Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli has taken up. He took up the case, and the embassy of Nepal in New Delhi subsequently dispatched two officers to counsel the affected Nepali students. The embassy has also made arrangements to ensure that the affected students have the option to either remain in their hostel or return home based on their preference. But one wonders if they return home, like it will be a tremendous loss of their years. They have been studying for, say, 3 years. So, what will happen to that lost time, those lost academic years? Who will compensate for that loss apart from the loss of a life? Mainly because the institute in question did not act in time to the victims repeated complaints that this fellow had been abusing her, had been harassing her, had been mistreating her. Had the institute acted in time, this loss of life could have been averted. So, no amount of apologies, no amount of scholarship, or no amount of compensation, no amount of justice, in fact, can bring a life back. That is what I have been saying repeatedly through this forum. The Indian establishment, on its part, seems to be handling this serious issue very sensitively. Vice Chancellor of KIIT, Saranjit Singh, has apologized for the actions of the authorities toward the protesting students. They had verbally abused those students. They had demeaned, they had done every bit to demean the students by pointing that their budget, their institution's budget, is like more than Nepal's annual budget. And they had been saying, claiming that their institute has been feeding 40,000 students for free, whereas these students, on their part, their guardians, pay a hefty sum for just their studies, for their upkeep at the hostel. So, what was the point in making such loud claims? What was the point in verbally abusing those students? The Vice Chancellor, Saranjit Singh, has apologized for the actions of the authorities toward the protesting students and reiterated the university's commitment to all its students, regardless of their nationality. The Vice Chancellor also called controversial remarks against Nepal coming from two university officials as extremely irresponsible and announced their dismissal. He has appealed to displaced Nepali students to return and resume their studies, announcing the establishment of a 24/7 around the clock support center to assist them. Odisha Chief Minister Mohan Charan Maji has assured the Nepali embassy that justice will be served on the alleged suicide of a girl student from Nepal at KIIT University in Bhubaneswar, urging the Nepali students who had left Odisha after the incident to return to the campus and resume their studies. Regarding this death also, by the way, regarding Prakriti Lamsal's death also, there are two theories. One is that after repeated mistreatment, repeated harassment, repeated abuse, this girl committed suicide. It is a case of abatement of suicide also. There is another theory that is like gorier, that is, she was murdered and then just uh, hanged on that ceiling fan. Some of the students' accounts also suggest that. So it may not be the case of a suicide. It could even be the case of a murder. And there was this impression was given that she committed suicide by hanging her body uh, on one of the blades of the ceiling fan. This is based on some of the students' accounts also. And before that crime, like she was violated also. The student accounts, some of the eyewitness accounts also claim that that angle needs also to be explored, that needs to be investigated also, instead of brushing this case under the carpet. The Indian embassy in Nepal has assured a thorough investigation into the alleged suicide and urged Nepali students, our Nepali woman student at Odisha's Kalinga Institute of Technology. It has urged the Nepali students to return to the campus. Amid this din, a sobering voice has come from the aggrieved father, Sunil Lamsal. Talking to local media, he said, I sent my daughter far from home for higher education, trusting the institution. I now rely on the Odisha government and police to ensure justice. My daughter is gone, but I hope no other Nepali student suffers the same fate. In a fast atrophying world brimming with around 8.2 billion people, stories get lost in a never ending news cycle as new developments happen around the clock. The suspicious case came to light due to justice seeking friends of the young student who reached out to media outlets and shared her ordeal and her extreme step despite serious threats to their lives and their well being. Empathetic media in Nepal and India, through an impartial coverage, played a key role in unraveling the tragic loss of life, which could have been avoided had the Institute in particular taken her complaints lodged at the International Relations Office of the Institute seriously. Alas, the arrest of the main accused, Advik Srivastav, a 21-year-old B.Tech mechanical third-year student at KIIT, and a rolling of some heads cannot bring a life back. Now that another bright, young, and courageous girl is gone, the tendency of blaming the victim may creep up and make headlines once again. There is every chance that those standing for their friend and batchmate may be targeted, and a fledgling state may care less and less and less, forgetting the case altogether like several other cases. A 20-year-old student with boundless potential is gone, but the onus is on all of us, the government in particular, however fledgling it may be, to make sure that justice is served, at least partially, for no amount of justice can bring a life back. With this remark, I wrap up this edition of Soft Talk. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to my ramblings. Thank you.